Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday when you're listening to this, or on Friday. It is playoff week here on Bound to Talk Football. I'm Blake Walker. He's Paul Arridge. Yeah, it's playoff time. It's week 2 for the playoffs if you're in 2A, 1A, A, or 8 player, but the playoffs kick off for 5A, 4A, and 3A. It's feeling like football weather. I haven't actually stepped outside today, but it's been raining, so that's fun. I think, Paul, you've been outside today. Is it cold? Cooler?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it's like a weird day where it's warm, but it's raining, so it makes it cold.
It's really going to cool off here in the
Yeah,
next
now after today,
yeah,
it's gonna be bad.
I'm excited. I enjoy the cold weather. I enjoy fall, but it's starting to feel like football. Finally, it's not really felt like football weather, except maybe once this season. So
Yeah,
whatever. Paul and I are going to go through the games this week. We're not going through every game because not every game is going to be like crazy close, I don't think. And some of the games that we're going to talk about won't be crazy close either.
yeah.
But just wanted to talk about the games that really stand off the page and whatnot. So we'll just start out. We'll jump right in with Class 5A. 6-3 Cedar Rapids Kennedy is headed to the Dome once again to take on 6-3 Cedar Falls. Paul, I just want your quick thoughts on this. I know there's not really much they could do, but what are your thoughts on all these repeat matches? Because there's quite a few.
You hope that these don't happen because it sucks for a team that specifically the team that beat the team. Obviously, that having to replay a team you beat sucks almost every single time. But you get in these situations, you kind of have to have it. There's not really any other way I would see them changing it. So
yeah, no. What really gets me is the ones like City High literally plays Bettendorf again at Bettendorf, and we'll talk about
yeah, that's the week 9 after. That's a little crazy in my opinion.
Yeah,
we had
that one
last
was
year too with Mid Prairie.
Yeah, and you're just like, well, that sucks. But
yeah,
all right. So Kennedy, Cedar Falls, first time these two teams met, Cedar Falls got the win. Kennedy turned the ball over a lot in that game, if you remember. This game, I mean, Cedar Falls doesn't lose in the Dome, man. I mean, that's pretty well known. And we thought maybe that Cedar Falls or Kennedy would be able to control in that controlled environment in the Dome. Here's the thing that the repeats always get me at, and what I've been trying to think about all week. How much can you make up in a short amount of time? Like, how much can Kennedy make up from what happened last time? The thing that gives me hope about Kennedy is you can help turnovers. Just don't turn the ball over. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Yeah. But Cedar Falls is probably playing their best football they have all season right now.
Yeah, they're a team that's getting hot at the right time. Never want to play at Cedar Falls, especially in the playoffs. That sucks for them. I don't know what way you're leaning here. Is this our game of the week? It is, or is it?
Yes, it is. I'm leaning towards Cedar Falls.
Yeah, I'm also there with Cedar Falls right now. I don't want to just. I think it's gonna be way closer than last time. Wasn't last time? It was kind of no, it was close. It was 17-14. I'm tripping. So
yeah,
it's hard to say. I mean, yeah. Here's the thing: if they don't turn over the ball,
then that's a way bigger game the first time they met.
Now, granted, Cedar Falls is 14 turnovers. It's not. You can't really just act like that was a gift from God.
Yeah,
for Cedar Falls. So it'll be an interesting game. Quarterback obviously Vincenzo, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, has been great all year as a junior. Cyrus Courtney's been amazing. I'd say this is going to be probably the best first round game. Obviously, it's Northwestern Centennial though. But.
Yeah, it's up there. I mean, I look at defensively. I mean, Kennedy has 23 sacks to Cedar Falls 15. They've both intercepted each other twice. Drake Gelhaus is just a workhorse, and now that he's back and seems to be fully healthy, that's a huge get for that team. But I just keep going back to the Cedar Falls defense that you and I spoke so highly of to start the year, and I still think they're phenomenal. Drew Gertis and Campbell and all those guys, I mean, they're just so good on the backside. Cedar Falls has the advantage or the disadvantage here because you won the first time. So now Kennedy has something to really prove, and you're like, okay, let's go out and prove that we can do it again. I'm with you. I think this is another low-scoring game. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I like Cedar Falls just a little bit more in this one, but it's not by much. I think I could easily see Kennedy go on and win this game.
Yeah. Cedar Falls O-line, too, has been phenomenal. They're really good, too. So,
boy, talk about a second-round matchup. Southeast Polk's either going to have to face Cedar Falls or Kennedy. I mean, that's fun. I think Kennedy is the more intriguing matchup just because of the air attack that will show up in that game. But Cedar Falls is a whole different beast in a way. So, very fun matchup to start out. 5-4 Johnston takes on 6-3 Ankeny. It's deja vu. These two teams played earlier this season. Same exact stadium, same exact everything. Turnovers, guess what? Killed Johnston in that game. Ankeny hung on. I think it was 16-10 or 16-13, something like that. This one's tough because Ankeny loses to Valley a couple weeks ago. Johnston's starting to pick things back up here ever since that Southeast Polk loss. Man, I think I'm going to give it to Ankeny just because their ground attack.
Yeah, they're really good on the ground. They got two good backs in Caden Hinkis and Daniel Larme. These games are just impossible to pick because
we saw them before.
Sucks. For Ankeny, it sucks. You got to play Johnston again after basically a split hair decision, 16-10. I mean, obviously, Johnston kind of has that get hot at the right time type thing going on right now.
And as much as we want to talk about it, Luke Anderson is pretty much stride for stride with Will Nuss in terms of passing yards. So it's not like there's much of an advantage there. And then Ankeny just runs the ball better. Sure, Jay, this is going to be a low-scoring game again. I mean, I don't see any way that it's not. But if Ankeny did it once, I think they could do it again. I don't think there's been enough change from Johnston here that it's like, okay, now they get it. But Ankeny definitely has to play better than they did the first time because they barely snuck away with the game if Will Nuss didn't turn the ball over a couple times.
Yeah, that'll be the big thing. The weather in this game, it's not as bad as last year's when it was literally
I forgot. This is the game from last year.
The 40-degree rain, terrible weather. So it'll just be colder, but not and it windy, but it won't be raining. So that's huge. Akers versus Jacob Simpson's cool. That's a stud wide receiver matchup there. / just big dude, big wide receivers, big tight ends, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. The big thing will be, can Johnston not turn over the ball? And I think that's a way better chance that we'll see the Dragons move on because at the beginning of the year, we've talked about it with Johnston all year. This is supposed to be one of the top dog teams. So,
Right. So I'm going to roll with Ankeny. I assume you're sticking right there with Ankeny as well.
Yep. Sticking with the alma mater.
There you go. 4-5 Valley goes to 8-1 Pleasant Valley. This is deja vu, except it was last year where Valley upset Pleasant Valley to make it to the Dome. Paul, maybe I'm crazy, but I think the road comes to an end for Valley here. I like this PV team. They've won a couple in a row ever since they lost. I mean, they literally lost the first game of the season and they haven't looked back. Yes, they've had a couple close calls, but they've beaten good teams. Coy Kipper can pass the ball, rephrase that. They can run the ball really well. They don't pass a lot, but they're 30 of 57 in the air. So when they do pass, they're pretty efficient at it. I like PV in this one. I think what Valley's done to get back into the postseason is great, but I think, I got to roll with the guys that are on a roll. And I know Valley's on a roll in a way, but I just like PV. I don't think they lose it this year.
Gotcha. I'm going to actually stick with Valley here. I think they've competed with the best teams in the state. They've been on playoff mode for the past 3 weeks. I think they're used to this type of pressure that's going to be happening. And it's on the road, which sucks for Valley, but they did it last year, so I don't think that's a problem. I'm not doubting Swenson in the playoffs. I can't do it.
History says this will be another low-scoring affair. Last year's was 15-10. Valley got the victory. It's almost an exact replica in a way. I mean, it's literally almost an exact replica, except Valley had a quarterback. Well, not saying DeGroat's not a good quarterback. He's starting to figure it out. But Valley was a little bit more uniform, at least.
Went in the postseason. Really good.
Yeah. Went in at 5-4. I'm excited to watch Damon Head. I think his emergence for this team that they've given him the ball more has been a huge, huge step in the right direction. So
I want to see Joe McGilvery start to come alive here.
Absolutely. So I'm going to roll with the Spartans. I think PV hangs on here. but I think it's going to be a phenomenal football game nonetheless. The winner of that game will play the winner of 5-4 Prairie, heads to Waukee to take on the 7-2 Waukee Warriors. This is a game that statistically both teams are actually pretty even. Prairie passes the ball more, or has more passing yards than Waukee does, and then rushing wise, Waukee has just almost 200 yards more. Paul, I think this game is going to be closer than some people think it is.
Yeah, big thing for me here is can Waukee's D-line just prevent Prairie from getting anything going on the ground? I know Prairie can pass the ball. They have Apollo Payne and Will Phillips, but I think that's obviously what they want to do, is run the ball. And if Waukee can stop them, I don't think there's a route for Prairie to win. Also,
I think, Waukee does like to pass the ball, but your leading wide receiver is your tailback. I feel like in a way Prairie can look at this game and be like, hey, as long as we can stop the run, I think we're going to be just fine. This is a tough one. How about Colin Velke? 89.5 tackles this season. That is unbelievable. The closest one for Waukee, Orson Harrop, has 48 tackles, 3.5 sacks. I like Waukee's size up front. I think that's the big difference maker for me. I think Waukee has just a little bit more size up front. I think this is going to be a phenomenal football game, but give me the Warriors in a slight edge over Prairie thanks to the trenches.
I think Waukee will handle it. I think they'll be fine. They're at home, playoff team. It's kind of been waiting after that split to get back in the playoffs. I think they'll be ready to go.
5-4 Centennial goes to Northwest at 7-2. Waukee Northwest beat Centennial 17-7 just a couple weeks ago. I don't think anything changes. I think Northwest is one of the hottest teams in the state right now. Ever since that loss to Dowling Catholic, they've looked phenomenal. Their defense is very good. Sam Johnston is starting to really look like a top-tier quarterback. Like his running ability, I'd love to know what his 40 time is because that kid can fly. Give me Waukee Northwest over Ankeny Centennial. Centennial's also never beaten Northwest in the 3 games that they've played them ever since the school became a thing.
Yeah, I picked Centennial every single time these teams have played, and I can't do it again. Waukee Northwest, it's that simple for me. It sucks because I hype it up every year, and it just.
The thing with Centennial, they just haven't been able to finish games. Like they're so close. They are a couple plays away from being 8-1 or 9-0. They just couldn't finish games. And they need Trenton to come up big, and Elijah has to step up big. The biggest thing that, Coach Kapatich told me yesterday when I chatted with him, he's like, we just got to tackle because he's like, Elijah Porter is one of the hardest guys to tackle in the state. So he's like, we just got to make plays. And I think that's a huge step in the right direction for Waukee Northwest if they can get that done. But I like Northwest as a dome team, man. This is just, they're really fired on all cylinders, and it doesn't look like anything can stop them right now. And Centennial is going to have a tough spot. In the 3 games that these 3 teams have played, the winning team has not scored more than 21 points. So I don't expect a lot of offense again, but also Northwest at home in the playoffs, that crowd's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, this is one of the better games as well, and I just can't pick Centennial. I've done it too much in this match.
Is this Centennial team, if they lose this week, going to go down as one of the biggest coulda, woulda, shouldas like we've seen in a while?
Yeah, they were on the 1 yard line to beat Dowling.
Yeah,
like they've been
almost beat Sep.
Beat Sep.
An overtime thriller and Ankeny, like just a wild game all throughout. Last one in Class 5A. It's a repeat. It's deja vu. 6-3 Iowa City High is headed back on the road to take on 7-2 Bettendorf, where they literally played last week. Iowa City High took down Bettendorf 42-21. Paul, the biggest thing in this game, how in the world do you make up 21 points? If you're Bettendorf, I don't think they do, and I think Iowa City High gets past the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I can't. That's way too big a margin, and it wasn't even that. It was more than that. Like, they did not score. It was almost 35 points. It was 42-14 heading into the 4th. So, I can't really – I hate this because we've had this scenario last year.
Yeah, we did.
Prairie, I'm pretty sure it was Linn-Mar dominated Prairie.
Linn-Mar, yeah, and then Prairie came back and dominated Linn-Mar.
Which you just can't predict at all unless you're literally watching practices or something. So,
yeah,
higher, obviously, to go on the road and get a win because they just did that last time.
Just did it.
Were they home last time? Were they home against?
What do you mean?
They play at home against Bendorf?
No, this was literally at Bendorf. It's an exact replica. Like, they're literally going back on the road to Bendorf. So it's not like anything changes there. But I got to give it credit. I mean, Bobby Bacon's been phenomenal. 1,887 yards, 16 touchdowns. Miles Parlay, 1,309 yards on the ground. Jake Mitchell's been a dog on defense for City High. Charlie Zimmerman got to step up, big. I know that offense, they've gotten things going on the ground before, but how do you make up that much in a week, And we've seen it happen, like you said, but boy, we could get a City High versus Northwest in round 2. That's fun. That would be fun. I didn't want to look ahead to too many of the possible other matchups, but the only games we didn't talk about, I just briefly talk about them real quick. Southeast Polk plays Linmar. Linmar gets into the playoffs at 4-5. Southeast Polk beat Linmar 49-27 last year. I don't think this game is going to be close. And then Dowling takes on Sioux City East. Sioux City East fell to Johnston by almost 30 last week. So there's your other games. Just to toss those out. We'll go to Class 4A, where 6-3 Decorah goes on the road to take on 7-2 North Scott. North Scott, hasn't excelled going into the postseason. I mean, they've been winning, which is good, but they barely hung on against Clear Creek Amana, and they didn't have any injuries, and they got through. Interesting matchup here. I think North Scott wins, but I like Decorah to possibly make it interesting in a way.
Yeah, that'll be the big thing for me. The big thing for me is Kyler Girardi. If he can just perform how he's performed, I think they're fine. I think they'll enter a kind of a playoff mode here because this is a team that barely lost to Xavier and Western Dubuque was the other team, right?
Yep.
They lost to. Yeah, they're two of the top teams or better teams in 4A, so not too worried about it. They're at home.
Thing that really gets me, Decorah just doesn't pass the ball well.
Yeah.
679 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 5 picks. And running, North Scott even leads them in rushing. So,
and they still try to pass it too. It's not even like
yeah, they've only got 20 less passing attempts than North Scott has. So that tells you all you need to know. So we'll both roll with the Lancers in that one. 6-3 ADM will go on the road to 7-2 Dennison Schleswig. Boy, an ADM team that another coulda, woulda, shoulda. I mean, Aiden Flora is back. Is he fully healthy? Well, we don't know. I mean, he could just be semi-healthy. This is a Dennison Schleswig team that has definitely not played the schedule that ADM has. Dennison's last couple games have been Fort Dodge, Spencer, Storm Lake, and Lamar's. Lamar's was a big one. I won't put him against that. And then technically they have an extra bye week because Sioux City West forfeited last week, so they did not play last week. I know they had an injury, or ADM has a beat-up team with injuries. I still just like ADM in this one. I think they've just played more tougher opponents, honestly.
Yeah, if Aiden Flora plays, I find it very hard to pick against him. Even if he's like 70%, maybe, he's still phenomenal. So I wouldn't be too worried if I was ADM. If that's what it's looking like, if he's really hurt, then there's a problem there, obviously. Cold game, 37 degrees.
Okay.
So that's that they have to go to Western Iowa for that. But, I mean, ADM is really good at running the ball, so I'm not even trying to say that's a...
I will say, shout out to Dennison, first ever state playoff appearance in like 22 years or something like that. It's been a long time coming. I know that. So shout out to Dennison Schleswig, but I got to roll with ADM. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and Luke Weaver's Dennison's quarterback plays both ways. Playoffs, that can get dicey having a dude play both ways because you get way more tired.
Yeah.
You get way more tired. It doesn't work as well. We've seen that in the past with a lot of teams who play a lot. I mean, there's the freaks. So, like Cooper DeSheen, Xavier, those dudes can get away with it, but not everyone can.
6-3, Pella goes to 7-2 Bondurant. It's another rematch, except this time Bondurant gets the home game. Pella goes on the road. Pella was down 16-0, came all the way back and took care of Gilbert last week. Luke Hardman's fighting for a All-American State award or something, making All-State first team because he's playing out of his mind. I mean, this is interesting because Bondurant lost the first time. Titus Cram did not play last week. They still ran the ball well. Granted, it wasn't against like a crazy opponent. It's Carlisle. I just don't see much changing here. I think Pella wins again because even when Titus was playing in the first half of that Pella game, Pella was up like 27-7 when Titus got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pella's just the most confusing team ever because they just against the top teams in the state, they just come out and dominate. It's not even like a light sprinkle win. It's like they take it to them. So for Pella, I mean, just keep Hardman going. There's nothing too special with that. He's done it against in their clutch scenarios. They were literally on their deathbed, it felt like, at times, if they don't get those wins against number one Xavier and then a number like
I will say both those wins were at home. Not saying like, I mean, Pella's a tough place to play, but I don't know. There is home cooking sometimes. You just never know. But now you got to go on the road. Bondurant's not an easy place to play. It's going to be cold. There's no wind. There's no buildings to block the wind out there at Bondurant High School. It's literally on the cutoff of the countryside out there. But I'll roll with the Dutch.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with that too. I just don't know. If Titus is playing, I'd probably lean Bondurant. But Pella, honestly, never mind. I won't even lean them because Pella handled them with Titus to start the game. So.
Yeah. All right. We'll roll with it on that side of the ball, I guess. Last one, 5-4 Ballard goes to 7-2 North Polk. Can the Ballard Bombers do it again, Paul, and take down arguably one of the hotter teams in the class? Ballard beat North Polk middle of the season 7-6. I mean, I don't know, man. Both of North Polk's losses were by 1 point. Like, they are 2 points away from being an undefeated team. I don't think it happens again. Yeah,
I think they're going to be fine. That game made no sense, that Ballard game. 7-6, that's crazy. That happens again, I'll chalk it up as Ballard.
The thing is, like, Ballard has lost 2 out of their last 5, or 2. They've won 3 out of the last 5. The 2 losses are to ADM by a touchdown and Indianola by 3. Granted, ADM didn't have floor at all for a half, so they scored 13, and ADM couldn't score a touchdown. But I don't know. It's an interesting game. I just don't think I think North Polk is going to be wide awake this time.
Yeah, I think North Polk will be ready for it.
Yeah, I don't expect any sleeping by the Comets, so I think they can advance on. We'll jump down to 3A. There are some good games here in 3A. Got a couple of them. We'll start out with one of the better ones. 7-2 Nevada heads up to Webster City to take on the 7-2 Lynx. Case and Stevenson versus Jackson Cherry. It's a fun battle between 2 very good running backs. And you know what's crazy? Case and Stevenson almost has the same amount of yards as Jackson Cherry. This game is literally who can stop the run, and Webster City has to just run crazy because 11 completed passes all season for 198 yards, which is a pretty good ratio. Like when they pass well. This game is going to be really good.
Yeah, I doubted Webster City multiple times this year. Don't think I can do it again. Jackson Cherry to top that 1,499 rushing total and 21 touchdowns. He has 62.5 tackles, 19 TFLs, and 7 sacks. It's also been one of the best linebackers in the state in 3A. But we know Nevada has been probably one of the better teams in the state all year. They just beat Lassa Crescent, so it's kind of a gut punch, but they beat Harlan recently. It's a really good.
I can tell you right now. Yeah, I can tell you right now, Nevada wants Creston again badly. Like they want that game back, and I know that they want to get to that. They can't think ahead, but the only thing that worries me for Nevada, I'm going to take the Cubs. I think the passing attack really helps them out here, and the fact that Webster City is one-dimensional has hurt them at times. That Webster City defense is phenomenal, but I think Nevada has enough of a different – they can go to the air if needed with Kingsbury, and they can keep it on the ground with Stevenson if needed. if Connor King can, limit turnovers, not saying he has a major turnover problem, but Nevada wasn't good against the run of Hampton, Dumont, Cal, so that worries me just a little bit, but that was all the way back in like week 3, week 4, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a really interesting game. I see points in this game. I don't see this being a defensive game. I see quite a few points in this one, but I'll take the Cubs in this one.
I'm going to rock the Lynx.
All right, there we go. I can't turn on Nevada, but
we can't.
7-2 Assumption goes to West Delaware. 6-3. The Hawks at one point in the season were really starting to figure things out. I mean, they've won 4 out of their last 5. Assumption's won 4 out of their last 5. Assumption's only lost in the last 5 games is to Mount Vernon. Granted, their wins aren't that good. And then West Delaware lost to Wahlert Catholic by 1 point and has beaten Macokota, Center Point Urbana, Independence, and Central DeWitt. Statistically, Assumption passes the ball more and West Delaware runs the ball more, but Assumption is better at both combined. So I'm going to take the Knights.
Yeah, I'm going to rock with Assumption as well. We have that feeling with Assumption that they just play like...
You can't doubt them just because they play good opponents. Like, not saying West Delaware doesn't, but it also worries me if Brent Yankovic has one bad game and he's off, then that whole offense is off because he has run for, 1,171 yards and passed for 980. Dude's probably going to have a 1,000 season. But at least for Assumption, you have Angelo Jackson who can work, and then you have Jake Timmons who can work. Mm-hmm. So I give the advantage to Assumption. But West Delaware is a tough place to play. It's a weird stadium. It's like a box shape. It's very weird. But yeah, I'll give the advantage to the Knights just by a little bit.
Yep, me as well right here. I like that. Assumption's more balanced, and I think a big thing will be, can Assumption stop Brent? You're right.
Yeah. 8-1 Williamsburg host 5-4 Humboldt. I mean, here's the thing about the Raiders. Are they sleepwalking into the postseason? Their last 5 games, not really. I mean, wins against South Tama, Fairfield, Grinnell, and Benton. Struggled early against Benton and then lost that game to Solon 21-14. Humboldt comes in after getting beat by Webster City 26-7 and then lost to Algona 34-17. But they did beat Clear Lake and Hampton Dumont Cal 34-0 and 14-7. I think Humboldt's defense could make this maybe interesting, but Williamsburg just has way too much offensive firepower.
Mm-hmm. For me, I think it's time that Williamsburg locks in and kind of is excited for playoff football almost. I think they haven't been sleepwalking, but at the beginning of the year, obviously everyone was like, this team is amazing. This team could compete in 4A.
Williamsburg has 28.5 sacks. Humboldt has 3.
Yeah, that'll be big right there. How they attack the quarterback. Race Heitman's been sensational this year.
It's unbelievable what he's been doing.
And then you obviously have Derek Weiskopf and Kellen Cockrell. So it'll be interesting. I know the quarterback's been kind of weird for them.
I don't know. I couldn't explain their quarterback situation, but
like Weiskopf has played and then not played. He's been serviceable while he's played, so it's not awful. But we obviously want to see him as a wide receiver to his dog there. Yeah, I mean, I think they turn it on here and get the win.
Yeah, I agree. Last one, 8-1 Bishop Heelan goes on the road to 8-1 Clear Lake. I think this one's pretty simple. Bishop Heelan put me on notice last week with the drubbing of MOC Floyd Valley. This is another passing attack that is just so weird. They've only thrown the ball 98 times this year. They're 60 of 98, but 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in those passing yards. They've also run the ball for 2,159 yards. Clear Lake has run for more, 2,449. This is a Quinn Olson game. This is Kale Stefani. I just like Bishop more. They run that triple option type, under center offense. You got Quinn Olson and Ricky Futo, I think is how you say it. Just 2 guys that can really run the ball. I got to go with Bishop Heelan because Clear Lake will have to zone in on 2 guys, whereas most likely Bishop Heelan is only going to really have to look at Titan Schmidt because Kale Stefani's only run for 139 yards. Oh, by the way, Sir Brandon Watts has also run for 200 yards for Bishop Heelan. Everybody runs the ball on Bishop Heelan.
Yeah, I'm going to rock with Clear Lake here. I think their run defense has been great this year. They beat Webster City, who is a team that just like exclusively runs it.
How do you feel about the Humboldt game, though?
The Humboldt game is rough. I picked against them that game, so that's kind of awkward. But I think they'll bounce back. I think they're fine. Thomas Meyer's been ridiculous this year, if you haven't checked in on him yet. And I'm just not ready to give up on Clear Lake because I feel like they've been too good of a team this year to like just get bounced first round.
Thomas Meyer only has 23 catches for 387 yards and 7 touchdowns. Give this man the ball more.
Yeah,
man's gonna have a breakout.
Defensively, he's been a guy.
Yes, too. Yeah. Which that's the thing. Like if he goes to Iowa, he's probably gonna play defense. I mean, like Iowa loves their tight ends, but who knows?
Yeah, he's been pretty solid on defense. So
I'll roll with
good game.
The Crusaders. Yeah, it is a phenomenal game. I'll roll with the Crusaders. You're gonna roll with Clear Lake. All right, we're on to Class 2A. 7-2 Clarinda takes on 7-2 Kemper Catholic. It's the Cardinals versus the Knights. Clarinda runs the ball, 42 rushing touchdowns this season. Kemper only has 16. Kemper throws the ball, 27 passing touchdowns. Clarinda only has 7. This is a rushing offense versus a passing offense. Clarinda has won their last 5 games against I-35, Clark, Sheridan, Centerville, and Des Moines Christian. Kemper has won their last 5 games, has really won their last 7 in a way because they started out 0-2. Greene County, Des Moines Christian, Sadell, Southeast Valley, and Cherokee, Washington. Well, here's the thing, Paul. Cherokee, Washington only runs the ball, and Kemper shut that down like nothing, so I don't think anything changes. I think Kemper wins this game. Add on top their offense.
Might as well just – I mean, we think the same way. I'm with Kemper as well. I think their passing attack is really good, and defensively they've been able to stop the run. So
Clarinda doesn't have a kicker. They've gone for 34 times this year. I love teams that do that. They don't have a kicker, so they just go for 2 every time. They're one of those teams.
4 times this year. Wow.
They've scored 68 points off 2-point conversions this year. They have not attempted a single field goal. Wow.
That kicker can kick off the ball, though. Just don't mess with it.
I guess, but maybe that's not going straight. I don't know. Maybe they squib it all the time.
We've got 2,494 kickoff yards, which I'm assuming is not.
Oh, my gosh. That's
terrible.
Funny. No, it's not bad. Not bad. 5-4 Mid Prairie goes on the road to PCM to take on 7-2 PCM, the Mustangs. Mid Prairie got a huge win over Northeast last week. PCM took care of I-35. Yes, 42-0. PCM has scored 49 or more, or 42 or more in their last 5 games. I can't go back and look past the other ones. Mid Prairie has won 4 out of their last 5, only loss coming to Minneapolis. Rushing yards, PCM leads heavily, 2,722 to Prairie City's 1,580. And in the passing category, they're actually pretty even. PCM doesn't turn the ball over. I like the Mustangs in this one.
Yep, I'm with you. I think PCM, Adrian Robbins is huge.
He's unbelievable.
He's been unbelievable all year. And Gavin Van Groot, a solid year at quarterback as well. 16 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and over 1,000 plus passing yards. I like it. PCM in this one. They're at home. Nothing not to like about them. They've been a really good team all year.
Boy, yeah. I think we talked about it last week. Mid Prairie's pretty young. I mean, Brady Weber, junior, Hudson Ehrenfeld, sophomore, Caden Koss on defense, a sophomore. I mean, PCM's got 2 juniors in the backfield. Gavin Van Gorp, the quarterback. Adrian Robbins is a junior. Van Gorp's a junior, and then Finn Wilson on defense is a junior as well. So 2 teams that most likely will be back right where they are next year, but PCM taking the Mustangs in that one. 5-4 Comanche takes on 7-2 Minneapolis. Comanche sets themselves up well. They got to go to Minneapolis. Both teams, well, Minneapolis doesn't pass the ball. I mean, they do. 723 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 picks. Comanche, 1,544 yards in the air, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then rushing-wise, I mean, Minneapolis has only 300 more than Comanche does. What's their last 5 games look like? Comanche has won 4 out of their last 5, only loss coming to Monticello. Minneapolis has won their last 5. They barely hung on against Anamosa last week, 28-21, while Comanche beat Anamosa 43-28. I'm going with the upset. Give me Comanche.
I'm going with Minneapolis, and that's because I want Georgia punter Drew Miller to just go.
Okay, well, bro, Chet Moore of Minneapolis, 90 tackles.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did we check on our boy from Independence? I can't remember his name, but I hope he's still balling out. Yeah, I wonder if he's still got he cracked
over 100 yards.
Okay, so he cracked the century mark.
I'll double check.
Yeah, that's a fun one, but yeah, give me Comanche. I like the Storm in the upset here over Minneapolis in a way. So that's your 2A games that we wanted to take a look at. We'll jump down to Class 1A, and technically, Paul, we still have our upsets of the week that we have to give out. The last one I said was not my full upset. I'm going to go with this as the upset. 6-3 Dike New Hartford takes on 8-1 Sigourney Keota. I've been high on Dike New Hartford all year. I love the defense. The offense is a little to be left desired, but I love this defense. And I think Dike New Hartford has a really good shot here to get past Sigourney Keota.
Yeah, I'm with you here. We've been hyping up this Dike New Hartford team as like an upset team just because of how they play defense. They take over the ball at a ridiculous pace. They've got 9 fumble recoveries this year, along with like 12 interceptions, I think. So They've been forcing turnovers. They get a bunch of TFLs. Big thing will be, can the offense just put up a somewhat of a fight, somewhat of a point total, which I think they actually kind of turned it around a little bit at one point.
So they've scored 50. Yeah.
Denver
51 against Manson, 14 against Denver, 41 against Applington Parkersburg. Gave up 34 to MFL Marmac, and then 55 against Central Springs. But Denver, very good running team, held them close. It's literally just if the offense shows up. If the offense shows up, I think Dike New Hartford can win. I'm sure Sigourney Keota people aren't going to be very happy that we picked against Sigourney Keota. They're a phenomenal football team, but I got to give it to the Wolverines.
We're both.
That's my upset. Yeah, that's my upset.
Both have the same upset.
All right. Well, I guess how about you take that one? I'll take the Comanche. Oh, you got to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just saying that we both have the same. We're both.
Gotcha. 8-1 Trainer on the road, headed to 7-2 OAB CIG. There's another DeJean? What?
Yeah.
I didn't think there was any more. Jax DeJean, a freshman, is leading them in the receiving category. How about that?
My Western Iowa friends talk about Jax. They say he's a dog. So
okay. This is our game of the week. This is a phenomenal football game. 2 teams that love to air out the ball. Trainer, 1,761 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. OABCIG, 2,176 yards, 23 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. And they don't really run the ball well at all. I mean, for their own sake, I should say. 885 yards for Trainer on the ground, 936 for OABCIG. OABCIG has won 5 in a row, including Shenandoah, Lawton Bronson, Hinton, West Sioux, Ridgeview. Trainer has won 4 out of their last 5 against AHSTW, Shenandoah, Missouri Valley, West Sioux. They lost 49-0 to Underwood. This is going to be a phenomenal football game. How many turnovers has Trainer forced? Let's see.
They have 11 interceptions and 4 fumble recoveries. Overall, ABCIG forces a lot more turnovers.
Yeah. Man, whose defense is better? Trainer's given up 13-0, 9, 49, 25. OABCIG is given up 14, 36, 7, 15. Give me OABCIG.
I like OABCIG as well. It's mainly because
Bryson Kolar.
What?
The quarterback, Bryson Kolar 2,124 yards.
16 interceptions along with that.
Yeah, I know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be interesting. Trainer, both teams, it's going to be an air it out type game, which will be interesting because of weather and it's windy. So could maybe get in a little slop fest because both teams can't really run, but I'm going to side with OABCIG in this one.
I like it. We're both on the Audible. Oh, gosh. I can't remember. Audible, something, Ida Grove. Gosh dang it. We'll get it sometime. But 8-1 Sumner Fredericksburg goes on the road to take on 7-2 Emmitsburg. Boy, it's a good feeling to see Emmitsburg being at the top after the dynasty run that they've gone on back then in the day. Emmitsburg doesn't pass the ball. Well, they do, but it's not great. 362 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Running the ball is where it's at, 2,425 yards. I'm going to take Emmitsburg simply because Davis Van Sinkle is not playing. He's out for the season, obviously, with an injury. Sumner Fredericksburg barely held on last week in the win over South Hardin. I got to take Emmitsburg here.
Yeah, it sucks for them after losing Davis Van Sickle. Like, it just sucks because that's
16
your guy.
interceptions by Emmitsburg. So
Like,
that poor backup quarterback, he can't make mistakes.
Yeah, so I'm going to rock with Emmitsburg as well here. And that's mainly, Sumner with Davis Van Sickle, I'd probably side with them, but that sucks.
Yeah.
They don't have them. So
I will say Sumner's defense could get the job done by themselves, but I just think Emmitsburg has slight advantage.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a phenomenal game nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Last one to talk about for 1A. 8-1 Wilton takes on 8-1 Regina. The biggest difference in this game, Owen Hassel did not play the first time these two teams met, which was a 35-0 victory for Regina. Does one player make that big of a difference, Paul?
In high school football, it definitely can. Not in higher levels, but the big thing here is 35 points. That's a big ask here to make up. And Regina's been hot. The West Branch game was the last time they lost, which was week 6, I believe, week 7, one of those weeks. This is tough. I see Wilton potentially winning this, but I'm gonna have to stick with Regina at home.
I'm gonna go with Regina.
Yeah, sucks for Wilton. But
It's so like 35 points, man. That's tough to make up 35 points.
And they got the length.
I just got to give it to Regina. Wilton returns their leading rusher, Owen Hassel, and leading wide receiver. So Wilton's going to be back. I think, Regina's a little bit more heavy up front in terms of who they're going to lose. They're going to lose their starting wide receiver and quarterback, but they do bring back William Atchison and Laren Fernandez on defense. So I don't know. Should be a good game. Hopefully we'll see what Owen Hassel can do back in the lineup. We'll go to Class A. 7-2 East Buchanan takes on 9-0 Lisbon. Well, I doubted Lisbon last week against North Lynn. And right now, I don't know what I want to do here. I think I'm going to have to roll with Lisbon again. I think the defense really impressed me, and I'm not going to give up on them this time.
Yeah, me too. And mainly they're 9-0. They haven't lost a game. East Buchanan throttled North Lynn when they play them, but we also have talked about how you can't just do that. You can't do the whole compare scores thing because that'll bite you. Both teams run the ball. East Buchanan a little bit better.
But not by much. It's 2,000 plus for both teams. Lisbon has actually ran for more yards on the ground, or actually ran in 41 touchdowns. East Buchanan's only running 38.
Yeah. It's close. This is two good defenses too.
70.5 tackles for loss for Lisbon, 54.5 for East Buchanan, but East Buchanan has 24.5 sacks. Lisbon has 14.
Yeah.
I think Lisbon's air attack gives me just a little bit more room. Like, I think that if the running game doesn't work, they at least have a passing attack. East Buchanan does not have a passing attack.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Lisbon's got it.
We're both taking the Lions to stay alive. 8-1 Logan Magnolia heads to Akron Westfield, the Westerners at 8-1. Two very, very good football teams. Logan Magnolia is a rushing offense, 2,976 yards on the ground. Akron Westfield, 1,719 yards on the ground. Akron passes the ball much better, 1,310 yards to Logan Magnolia's 376, 13 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions for Westfield, 3 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions for Logan Magnolia. I am going to roll with a senior-heavy Akron Westfield team. I always like to lean experience. Logan Magnolia has a junior quarterback and a sophomore leading wide receiver. I just like a little bit more experience, so I'm going to roll with Akron.
Yeah, I'm rock with them as well, and it's mainly because that defense has pitched 3 straight shutouts. So
they're on a roll.
Yep, I think the bad weather that's gonna help the defense. If anything, 20-mile-per-hour winds can be kind of a bad weather.
42 tackles for loss for Akron Westfield, only 20 for Logan Magnolia.
Yeah.
Big difference in that one. So we're both going to roll with the Westerners defense. This one's being played at Lamar's Community High School. Not sure why, but I guess Lamar's gets to host. I hate that this game is a playoff game in the second round. 8-1 West Hancock takes on 8-1 Starmont. Oh, man, this is going to be a good one. West Hancock, 333 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. Starmont, 860 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Both teams on the ground. Got to give it to West Hancock, 2,924 yards, 1,611 for Starmont. Defensively, very even in the sack category. West Hancock has 50 tackles for loss. Starmont only has 28. Oh, I've loved this Starmont team, man. But I think they meet their match in West Hancock.
Yep, I'm with you here. West Hancock's been on like a murderous tear since that St. Ansgar's game. They've not even had a game of like where you bat an eye. 38-22 is the closest total. Other than that, it's been 49-7, 62-0, 57-6, 41-0, 67-13. So
I hate that this is the second round.
Lake Mills is in that game.
I think both these two teams are so good. It stinks that they're playing each other.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, going to be a heck of a game. Good luck to both teams. We will see what happens. 8-1 Linville Sully heads to ACGC to take on the 9-0 Chargers. I think if Linville Sully was fully healthy, this would be a much better game, but Linville Sully now doesn't have their quarterback, and they don't have quarter now and harder. Lucas Seat got hurt last week, so he's out, or 2 weeks ago. I got to roll with ACGC.
Yep, I'm with you there as well. 3,000 plus rushing yards on the ground for ACGC. We could be talking about how quarter now and harder is coming back for this game, and there'd be this would be probably one of the better games of the state, but it sucks that injuries got the best of them again, so now it's Linville Sully. They've had him they haven't had him all year, so except for
I will say Linville's defense has the ability to really make this thing interesting. They've only given up 6, 0, 12, 16, 10. They don't give up much. Meanwhile, ACGC gives up 18, 0, 18, 31, 15. The only thing is Linville Sully's offense just doesn't have the weapons to seem like they can put up all those points. So I just got to give the edge to ACGC.
Yep, I'm with you.
Should be a good one. Hopefully, everybody can stay healthy all across the board. Possibly sets up ACGC versus Madrid in the game to go to the state tournament, which is just fire. All right, Paul, one more class. We'll go to 8-player. 7-1 Waco takes on 8-1 Don Bosco. This is our game of the week. Don Bosco is the home team in this game. Don Bosco, 452 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Waco, 800 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The rushing category, Don Bosco has run for almost close to 1,500 yards more than Waco has this year. 61 rushing touchdowns for Don Bosco this season. Caden Kanak, 1,482 yards on the ground, 31 touchdowns. He can also pass the ball. And he's also the leader, or his brother is also the leader on defense. Kyler Kanak, 51.5 tackles, 1 fumble return, 1 fumble recovery, 3 interceptions. Talk about this game. I got to figure out who I'm picking. I think I know who I'm picking, but
I got Don Bosco in this game at home. I think Kanak is going to be a big force here in this one, but Waco, we've learned not to count them out. I believe last year they made the dome, right? And it was was it run? Was it like not a Cinderella, but it was like a
I think they were favored. I mean, they got there undefeated.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they were favored. But yeah, like Don Bosco, obviously, that has been one of the better programs in the state in this class, I should say.
Their only loss, Don Bosco's only loss, is to Gladbrook Rhinebeck, 24 to 30.
Yeah.
34 to 20. Waco's only loss is to Winfield Mount Union, 34 to 8. I like Don Bosco's offense.
Yeah, me as well.
Rolling with the Dons. 8-1 Lennox takes on 8-1 Audubon. Two very, very talented offense. Audubon is looking for their 9th straight win. They're on a roll. Lost the first game of the season, have not looked back. Aaron Olson is that whole offense. Gabe Funk. You got two juniors going at it here. Gabe Funk and Aaron Olson, both are quarterbacks and they're leading rushers. Tells you all you need to know about this game. Gabe does pass the ball better. 870 yards, 17 touchdowns, 4 picks. Olson, 487 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Rushing wise, let's see. About even. Audubon's run for almost 100 yards more, 2,632 to Lennox's 2,516. Defensively, Lennox is just a little bit better. And in tackles for loss, they are way better. I'm going to go with Lennox in this game.
Yeah, I'm with the Lennox as well. They've been a great team all year. They came off a big win against Woodbine, who's been a team that's been pretty decent. I think they've been in the talk for that district most of the season. I obviously didn't come out with it, but they've got pretty quality wins, and Gabe Funk's been on a tear. It's going to be interesting with that just quarterback battle.
Yeah.
Straight up a quarterback battle.
Should be fun to watch. Last one, 8-1 Gladbrook Rhinebeck is headed to Central City to take on the 8-1 Wildcats. Gladbrook Rhinebeck, 27 passing touchdowns, 1 interception on the season, 1,451 yards. Central City has run for 2,461 yards, 45 rushing touchdowns. Their only loss is to Winfield Mount Union. Gladbrook Rhinebeck's only loss is to Clarksville. Clarksville ran the ball well, and Gladbrook Rhinebeck just couldn't contain them. Central City runs the ball well. I don't think they can contain them. Give me Central City.
Yeah, Central City's been a team that's been really good all year. Only loss is to Winfield Mount Union, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't by much. 44-36, I think.
This has been a team that people have looked at quite a bit this year as like one of the better teams. Gladbrook Rhinebeck, obviously, I mean, right up there is kind of like Gladbrook was like that team for a while.
Yeah.
So
I think just that Clarksville game, you're like, okay, but yet they have the win over Don Bosco. So,
yep.
Screw it. I'll take Gladbrook. I think the Clarksville loss, I think they needed that. They needed a game like that to really get themselves straightened out. Okay, I'll take the Rebels.
I'll just stick with Central City here. We'll split here.
There you go.
So we aren't just flip-flopping around.
There we go. My upset of the week, I'll go with Comanche over Minneapolis is my upset of the week. Which one did you officially run with?
We're looking right now, and I think I'm going to go with a technicality upset that people are probably not going to agree with as being an upset. ADM over Dennison Schleswig.
Oh, okay, here we go. All right. Take it as you will.
The Road Dogs.
The 9 seed upsets the 8 seed.
Yep. That's what we're going with.
All right. That's all we need to know. All right. Well, it's going to be a cold night. It's going to be a rainy night. I'm going to be at Southeast Polk calling their game against Linmar. It's been fun calling all these Southeast Polk games, so I'm ready to find a different. Hopefully, I call a different team next week.
Yeah.
But it's been fun to call Southeast Polk. So make sure to check out your local live streams and whatnot if they're streaming them tomorrow night. And we will be back on Monday for your recap. He's Paul Arridge. I'm Blake Walker. Thank you for watching and listening to Bound to Talk Football. We'll see everyone next week.